Hey gang, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be kind of going over this fridge, but I'm going to be doing it in a very different format than how I usually do it. What I've been doing with this cooler, guys, is pretty much every week I have been using this cooler on my other channel here in Texas. If any of you guys know how hot it gets down here in Texas, it gets sweltering, over 100 degrees, high humidity, and I really wanted to use this cooler out on my camping trips in the heat of summer when these things are really needed, to see how it would perform so I could come back and tell you guys how it did. SetPowers are great fridges, and this one did absolutely phenomenal. It is so brutally hot here in Texas in the summer. Ice coolers really don't work. As soon as you open it up, all that hot air comes in and your ice just melts so quickly. So during the summertime, I really like these 12-volt coolers. During the wintertime, I can get away with using coolers with just ice because it doesn't melt as fast and get all messy and gross inside. But during the summer, 12-volt coolers for me are the way to go. And this is the RF30 model from SetPower. And to me, this is kind of the perfect size. You can easily pack enough food in here for 2 people for a 1, 2, maybe even 3-night trip. But for me, it's more than enough room than what I need. It is a 32-quart cooler, and it is a dual zone. You can have a freezer and a fridge. You can have a freezer on this side and a small fridge on this side. You can set this to be both freezer down to -4 degrees, or both just standard refrigerator settings, you know, around 32 to 35 degrees on both sides. Doesn't matter. But it's just the perfect size. And what I've noticed about SetPower fridges compared to all my other, you know, bodegas, all the other coolers that I've used in the past, these are the most simple to use. You've got one dial or one control panel up here on top of the cooler. You've got 2 different screens. These 2 screens correlate to each of the internal areas of the cooler. So if you want this big side to be 32 degrees, it's really simple just to hit the plus or minus button to the temperature you want. If you want the smaller side, you go over here to this side and press plus or minus. I've had a couple of Bouge RV fridges where you have to like press and hold a couple of buttons for 2 seconds to set one temperature the one way. I don't know, I just don't like them. These are really simple, and that was the first thing that I noticed after using this for about 3 months, is that they're just easy to use. It's got a max and an eco mode setting. For me, what I run this cooler off of, and it's funny, this is my oldest power station that I own, and I bought this probably 5 years ago. This is the original Jackery 300, and I run this with this cooler on my overnight camping trips almost weekly, and I'm running this cooler off that battery for about maybe 18 hours, and I get back home and I've got 50% left on that Jackery. So this thing sips power. In fact, in max mode, it does not use more than 50 watts to get its temperature. Once it gets to temperature, that compressor cuts off, and this thing's pretty well insulated, and that compressor does not cut on a lot. So the other great thing about this cooler that I've noticed, I don't have to bring a big power station. This little tiny 300 watt hour power station is more than enough to power this cooler in the Texas summer heat in the back of my truck with the sun baking on it. They're very well insulated. They don't use a lot of power. They're easy to use. My food has never gone bad. In fact, we took this cooler to Gulf Shores, Alabama with us a couple of weeks ago, and we actually, on the way home, we had a bunch of stuff from the freezer that we bought while we were there that we didn't want to throw away. So we stuffed this smaller side, turned it into a freezer. 12-hour car ride home, we got back home and everything was still frozen. So it kind of helped save some food. We didn't have to throw it out in Alabama. We were able to bring it back home. So using this smaller portion of the cooler, turned into a freezer. I set it to -2 in the back of a hot car, basically for 12 hours from Alabama down here to Texas. Kept everything frozen. And then, of course, on the other side, we set it to the refrigerator side and just put some of our Cokes and cans and some of the kid food on that side, and it did, and you know, food was great by the time we got home. And what it comes with is just your basic everyday cooler stuff. You know, you're gonna get your AC plug, which I use a lot. And again, we use this in Alabama, kind of our adult drink holder. So instead of using the main fridge for all of our drinks, we just put this on the floor, and I plugged it into an outlet and kind of use this as our little mini fridge for the trip. It comes with a DC plug. This is not the one that it comes with, but I like this one more because it's so short. I bought this on Amazon. I don't have to, because I always have the power station right next to the cooler. and I just like having this really short DC plug, but it comes with one that you can use, and you know, you get your manual. Oh, these are Swedish towels. These things are great. This does not come with this, but it was in here. Also, this thing does have Bluetooth, so you can download the SetPower app. You can log into this thing remotely. Check to make sure it's on. Check to make sure what the temperature is inside. It does show both zones, so if you have one set to -4, one set to 36, you can make sure that both zones are doing well. This one does not have a light on it, but with it being so small, I've never noticed, gosh, I wish I had a light in this cooler because I can't see. So it does not have an LED light. You do have a really nice kind of foamy rubber gasket that goes all the way around that obviously does its job really well because it is very, very efficient. And again, I've never had anything go bad in this cooler. And with the amount of power that it does not use, I can tell that it is very well insulated with the way that this lid sits down, the way that it clamps down. Yeah, overall, just a fantastic cooler. I just wanted to give you my take on how this cooler has done over the last 3 months. Again, I'm sure, you know, maybe Jason Noid or one of those guys that really go into more detail on the compressors, which by the way, this has a 3-year warranty. These are from IceCo. I believe IceCo is their parent company, which IceCo has a 5-year warranty. This has a 3-year warranty, but you're paying a whole lot less. This RF30 is $299, but before you make a liar out of me, let me double check Amazon to make sure. Yes, so the 32 quart RF30 is $299.99 right now. And it does come in different sizes. You can get a 27 quart that doesn't have the dedicated interior sections. It has a pull-out section. The 27 quart is $209, you know, so there's different sizes of this RF model. What can I say, guys? It's just worked really well. If you're looking at coolers, a smaller cooler that's not going to take up a lot of room in the back of your truck or the back of your car on just 1 or 2 night trips, I think the 30 quart size is probably the best. Because you can fit quite a bit of stuff in here. You're not jam packing things into it. This isn't good for a week, obviously. You need a much bigger cooler for that. But for me, what I do, and sometimes with just my wife and I, 1 or 2 nights, this size is absolutely perfect. Down here in the South, in Texas, it's a really good test on these coolers, how well they work and do they keep food cold. And I don't put this thing in the shade. I keep it under my tonneau cover in my truck in 105-degree heat. So it's kind of like an oven back there underneath my tonneau cover. So again, it's just done great. I've got nothing bad to say about it. So if you guys want to take a look at it and to easily be able to find it, I'll put this link, the specific link for Amazon and the SetPower webpage in the video description below. You can also buy, if you don't have like a Jackery, like what I use, SetPower does sell a standalone battery that you can use, a very small slimline battery that essentially is going to act just like that Jackery, and you can plug it into that and use if you don't have another power source. So there is more options besides like a Jackery or a Blue Eddy or whatever, EcoFlow, whatever your flavor is. Yeah, I wanted to use this thing out in the wild for more than a week. So so for this entire summer, I have been using this cooler camping, and I've got nothing but good remarks to say about it. So guys, check it out if you need a cooler. I can't recommend SetPower enough. I've used Bodegas, SetPowers, Leffelli's, Bouge RVs, IceCos. And I think for the money and how well they work, I think SetPower is probably what I would recommend the most to people. They're a little bit more pricier than some of the Bouge RV coolers, but I think they just work better. They're easier to use, and I trust them with my food probably more than any other cooler. With the exception of like a big, huge, heavy IceCo cooler that's $1,000. But these are great for the budget-minded people that don't want to spend a lot of money. So I'm done rambling. I just wanted to let you folks know that this has done phenomenal over the last 3 months down here in Texas, every week in some pretty crazy heat. In fact, I'm sitting here sweating right now. So guys, take a look at it if you're interested, and we'll see you soon. Take care.